start with our feet nice and parallel. And just lift rib cage off of hips. So we're just going to start by reaching up. Keep this quite small, keep your arms up and try and reach up and touch the ceiling. So you're just lifting your rib cage off of your spine. Not a great big movement, we're just trying to stretch and lift out either side of our spine in that lower back. And then I want you to lower your arms and just lower your eye line, come into a really good tall standing posture. And if you don't mind, close your eyes. And I just want you to sort of explore how your posture is right at this very moment. And then we're going to just look at it at the end of class as well, hopefully. So take a small, maybe rock forwards and backwards a little bit, but just notice, are you more weighted on one foot than the other? Is your weight pitched forwards onto the balls of the feet, or are you back further onto your heels? There isn't any right or wrong. I don't necessarily want you to try and find the perfect posture. I just want you to explore and notice and observe where you are right now. So then working the way up from the floor, thinking about your legs. Your legs are straight, but your knees aren't locked out. And then working your way up towards your pelvis. Pelvis ideally in a neutral, but do your hips feel square to the front? Does your tissue box feel square? Do the hips feel level? Do you feel a little bit more weighted maybe in one foot than the other? Do the hips feel slightly rotated maybe? And while we're sort of at that level of your hips, think about your arms. Just let your arms hang from your shoulders. When they're naturally hanging in a good postural position, a neutral postural position if you like, the backs of the hands are actually quite forwards, and they hang, the the hands especially, just hang quite in front of the thighs and in front of the hips. Working your way up, see if you can get a nice big gap between the rib cage and the hips. That's what we did the lifting up for, to lengthen the spine. Think about your rib cage, the box of your rib cage. Is it over your hips, or is it slightly forwards or slightly back? Just explore it. Think about the shoulders, collarbone nice and open, the neck long. Tucking the chin in slightly, lengthening the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, sending the tailbone down, and just opening up your eyes. And then we're just going to have a little walk around, just in the space. So if you've only got the space of your yoga mat, have a walk forwards, or just walking forwards, so turn around. I was watching a video with someone on YouTube the other day about walking, and he kept walking forwards and then walking backwards to start again. So generally we want to be walking forwards, but looking at the walking forwards pattern today as opposed to the walking backwards pattern. So just notice, how does it feel if you lower your eye line? How do your legs feel? How do your feet feel? Because we're in quite a restricted space, and I've probably got more space than some of you, arms don't really need to swing. They're just sort of dangling by my side. But ideally when we walk, we want this opposition, and that should naturally be happening a little bit. So just to finish off this section, I just want you to walk really badly. Let your head drop down, maybe let your shoulders round a little bit, and also take the same arm as leg to walk forwards. There's always one person in my classes whenever I do this that says, well, actually that feels quite good, but it should feel a bit rubbish. It should feel quite awkward, just like it makes your feet roll in, it makes your knees roll in, it shouldn't ideally feel great. Okay, so we'll come back to that at the end of class. So let's have the feet a little bit wider now, nice and parallel. Feet shoulder width apart, pop your hands on your shoulders, and let's circle the elbows. So just getting that rib cage shifting and moving, especially if you've been sitting for most of the day. So allow the rib cage to push backwards when you take the elbows up, allow the chest to push forwards. Great, let's go the other direction as well today. Brilliant. And then we're going to take some hula hoops. A hula hoop circle with the elbows. So you've got a hula hoop, it's level with your shoulders. The elbows, the inside, your elbows are touching the inside edge of the hula hoop, all the way around. And there's a bit of an overlap at the front and the back. And in order for that overlap to happen, you're also rotating at your hips and your ankles. So then let's bring the hula hoop lower to our hips and sort of put your hands here. You don't have to, but I quite like to do this to make my my awareness stronger. So I'm now going to take my hips all the way around in that hula hoop. So side to side and back is relatively easy and quite comfortable, but try and push the hips forwards a little bit as well. So circling around both directions, change if you haven't already. Make sure you're keeping the rib cage lifted off of the hips, so everything shouldn't feel too compressed, it should feel quite nice. Brilliant, and then we're bringing hands onto the knees, feet and knees together, and we're going to take a mini hula hoop, much smaller one now, got it around your knees, and you're going to take those knees all the way around the inside edge of that hula hoop. And if I just turn to the side, as you take your knees back, you sort of straighten your legs a little bit. So it's a horizontal circle that you're drawing, but the thing that's really interesting here, and the thing I want you to have a little look at, is have a look down at your feet. So in order to draw this big circle for your knees when they're together, around your feet, you have to accommodate that in the ankles and the toes. So you're going right back to the heels, to the outside edge of one foot, past your toes, to the outside edge of the other foot. And then the inside edge of the opposite foot will be rolling in a little bit. Change direction if you haven't already. So all about just mobilising, getting everything lubricated. I was talking to someone today about classes and exercising, and how when she does this sort of thing every single day, it's just a little bit every day, 10-15 minutes every day, she feels like she's oiling the body, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So let's just move to the ankle. Thinking about walking, thinking about, you might be, especially where we live down here, I live in Bournemouth, and we've got a wonderful coastline and a really sort of rugged coastal paths and everything. Changing direction if you haven't already, and I'm scrunching my toes over on this as I'm going, so really quite relaxed. And then I'm going to take another one, sorry, I'll come back to my point about the coastal paths in a minute. Digging the ball of your foot in and getting that ankle and your toes just going in all the possible directions. Hopefully it doesn't hurt, but coming back to the coastal path, excuse me, and swap legs. If you're walking along, and even if you've got sort of fairly sturdy hiking boots on, but if you're on an unstable surface, and you do this sort of thing often, and you lubricate all the joints and everything is used to going in all different directions, pushing the ball of the foot in now, making sure you're going in both directions. When you suddenly go over a boulder and you maybe lose your balance, or that pushes that ankle out to the side, that sort of action, you're not going to injure yourself because your body's already been there, it can cope. And then hopefully you'll have good balance as well from doing class. Okay, so let's have a little look at some bit of coordination stuff for the brain. So I'm just going to turn slightly to the corner, and we're just going to take a knee bend. In fact, let's take the arms up to the ceiling first of all. So sort of lift the arms up, and then with a little knee bend, let them swing and be quite heavy, and then bring them back up again. It's almost like they've been released, and it's like, say that it's a rope, and you're letting the rope come back down. Good. I'm bending my knees. I'm actually taking my weight back onto my heels a little bit, and I'm letting my chest just fall forwards. This isn't quite my big swings that I normally do, but I just want you to get those arms moving in the shoulder joint and swinging quite naturally. Good. let's change that up a little bit. You're now going to bend your knees and lift one arm in front of you and one arm behind you, and both palms will face the same wall. So if I go really sideways on, both palms are facing you. But when I bend my knees and swap, both palms are facing the back of the room. My head is staying forwards. So this is knee bends and a nice big exaggerated arm swing. In order to have that palm facing the same way, if you don't have your palm facing the same way, you'll probably find this shoulder's a little bit restricted. Palm facing the same way, open up that shoulder. So if I was against the wall behind me, hips are pretty much facing that way, not quite because I can't quite do it, but then the backs of my hands, backs of my arms are both on the wall, and then if I change, I'm there. So my shoulders are rotating, my hips pretty much staying square. That's what we're after. So we're going to take 3 of these. I'm going to stay on this corner for the moment. So we've got 3, 2 and 1, and then keep lifting the arms up, square your shoulders up, keep moving in the same direction and finish with the same arm in front. I'm going to change to the other side. Some of you will be familiar with this. So I've got my left arm forwards. If you want to do lefts and rights, that might work. I'll face the other way in a moment. So left arm is forwards and right arm is forwards and left arm is forwards. And that was our third one. We're going all the way up to the top. We're continuing the circle in the same direction, finishing left arm forwards. Here I'm going to face this way. So, legs are bending. In fact, before I do that, legs are bending. You can let your heels come off a little bit. The body stays nice and upright. Make sure that you get this nice flow in the shoulders. So, facing this way. Let's all use the same arm forwards first. So we've got right arm and left arm and right arm. Keep going up to the top. Square your shoulders up. Pull the right arm back. Finish right arm forwards. And left arm, right arm, left arm. Keep going up, 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 up. Pull the left shoulder back. Finish left forwards. I'm going to turn sideways on. Not that I can see you, but let's have a little look anyway. So we've got right arm, left, right. Keep going up. Pull the right shoulder back. Finish with the right arm forwards. And the last one, left and right and left. Keep going up to the top. Swap the arms over. Left shoulder back. Finish left arm forwards. And hopefully that worked really well. When I was doing that in class earlier, I had to turn around and keep checking what was going on. There was a little bit of cheating going on. Great, okay. We're going to look at standing on one leg, but from your feet a little bit apart. So the focus here is to really stand out of the standing leg. So we're going to stay on one leg for this whole exercise. So I've got my feet sort of pretty much hip width apart. Put one hand on your chest and one hand on your tummy. Transfer over to the side of the leg that you're going to stand on and peel the other heel off and lift into a knee fold. And then place the foot back down, but don't transfer back to equally weighted between both feet. So your goal is to stay standing over this one leg whilst you lift and lower the other leg. Now the reason we've got the hands here is the hand on top and then the hand at your belly button, lower abdomen, is drawing a straight line over that standing leg. When I lift this knee, I'm not letting it cross over to my midline. I'm trying to keep it opposite my hip. The bottom of my top is staying absolutely the same. I'm working really hard in this leg, lifting the rib cage off of the hips. Good, we're going to add on to this. I'm going to turn sideways, still on the same leg. You're going to lift the knee, you're going to take the opposite hand and push the opposite hand against the knee. So you're sort of, the arm is going that way, my knee is going that way, and I'm creating a nice tension there. And then putting that foot down again. Same leg is lifting up. About 5 or 6, maybe a couple more. push. Actively switch on the muscles. I want you to feel this crossways line, this crossways connection. The chain of muscles which are responsible for your sort of crisscross pattern at the front of the body, and it happens at the back of the body as well. So opposite arm to leg. Good, we're going to add on, I'm going to face this way. You're lifting this knee, you're pushing the hand against it, you're still applying that little bit of pressure, and then just around your shoulder blade here, you're going to pull that back a little bit. So this is our nice opposition with the shoulders, which we've just done, but in a hugely exaggerated way. So you're lifting the knee, pushing the hand in, pulling the shoulder back, placing down, lifting. So your standing leg, the one that's really nice and still, should be feeling some quite strong work there now. You're working quite hard there. Lifting, slight rotation. Good, here's the grand finale, still on the same leg. Lifting, pushing the opposite knee to the hand. You're sweeping the leg back. You're coming into this beautiful diagonal line. So the foot is on the floor. And I've got the same arm as the back leg up by my ear. I've bent my standing leg. Then I'm lifting, pushing into that knee and sweeping back. My tissue box is absolutely square. Again, 5 or 6 of these. Push in and sweep that arm up, swing the leg back, hinge at the hips, bend your standing knees. It's quite strong work. Hey, quite strong on the balance as well. Lifting, and there, one more for luck. Woo. And excellent, good. Okay, all of that on the other side. It's rocking my mat up for some reason. So reset yourself. So I don't know about you, but that really got my standing leg buttocks. That was really quite hard work. So from feet quite narrow, hip width apart. One hand on your chest, one hand on your tummy, your lower, just below your belly button. Transfer over so that your plumb line is falling on top of this leg, that standing leg. Lift the other knee, place it down with hardly any change. There's a tiny shift from one side to the other, but not much. Because I'm really concentrating on this supporting standing leg, I'm using the floor, using the fact that my rib cage is lifted off of my hips to try and keep the body stable. Great, let's add lifting the knee, placing the opposite hand. So this arm is quite straight. I'm actually applying, I'm not just touching the knee, that's just me just touching. I'm actually applying quite a bit of force to that knee, the knee going in the opposite direction to my hand and placing down. Lift and push and place down. Lift and push. And you should feel a little bit of a switching on all around your torso, all around your core. We're activating the core, hopefully. Lifting. Great, we're going to add on, same leg, lift the knee, push the hand, whoopsie, try not to fall over. Try, pull that shoulder back, just the shoulder back, so you're over-exaggerating that twist. I'm getting the twist anyway when I push into the knee, but just around here, just sort of pull your armpit back almost. Lifting, pulling back, placing down, trying not to have that big shift from side to side. So although I'm placing the leg down, I'm still strongly standing out of the floor on that standing leg, that supporting leg. Last one here. Now I'm going to swing that leg back, bend my standing knee, take the same arm up. So in the monitor, I can see that I've got this lovely straight line. lifting the knee, straightening the standing leg, pushing opposite hand to knee, swinging the leg back, hinging at the hips, not allowing your back to change shape at all. Push and swing and push and swing and swing. Balance is a little bit shot to pieces. You may know some breathing slightly heavier than I was earlier on in the year. Last one. And let's make it a good one. Arm up by the ear, nice and parallel with that standing leg. Yeah, so you can't beat this sort of live teaching on the World Wide Web for making sure you do everything properly. It's going to get me fitter again. Perfect. Okay. Not so much a request from Elaine, this one, but she just mentioned that we hadn't done this movement for ages. So I thought we'd put it in today. So you're going to have your feet completely together. This is called the running man. It's a lovely little exercise. And hopefully all of this is going to make sense when we come to the end of the class. So we're going to take feet together and narrow squat. So make sure that you hinge from your hips, send your bottom back, knees are above your ankles, your chest is nice and high, and then you're coming upright. Send that bottom back, the weight is in your heels. So absolutely no change in the shape of your spine. The weight is in your heels. No coming forwards with you probably got your heels down. If you can bring your knees that far forward, you'll probably have your heels down. I have to keep my heels down. I have to keep my weight back because of my rubbish Achilles tendons, but also because I'm taking the change here. Okay, you're going to stay on your, I'm going to turn this way around actually, you're going to stay on your weakest leg for one leg standing. You're going to stay down in your deepest point of your narrow squat. The feet are together, remember. Bend your arms a little bit, so make a 90-degree angle. And you're just going to move the arms from the shoulders. Let's just do this first. This is going to be the movement of the arms because we're running. Don't forget. So, let's take the leg that you're going to move, take it back. So you're standing, the leg that's staying where it was is your weakest leg. Bring the same arm forwards with the elbow bent. The leg is back. This is it. We're going to take our running man. You tap the feet together. You tap the foot back. Tap, 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 tap. Nothing else changes. The two arms are moving from the shoulder. That one leg is moving behind you and coming back in. Everything else in your body is staying in exactly the same place. If you wanted to work harder, if you were feeling quite strong today, you could tap in and push the heel out. Tap in, push the heel out. Or you could keep the leg off of the floor all the time. This is hard work. Let's have another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and stand. Give that leg a bit of a shake. Brilliant. Let's just warm up with the squats on the other side. So, feet and knees together. I'm going to stay sideways on so that you can really see. Let's just take 4 or 5 of these to remind yourself. So now that you're tired, this second side is going to be harder, unfortunately. Make sure the weight is back in your heels, feet and knees are together. Let's stay down this time. Bend those arms. So no lifting, no change in the shape of your back, no lifting your hips up, no collapsing in the upper back. Stay down. Take the other leg back. Bring that same side arm forward. So we're working in opposition. And then you're going to tap to the feet together, tap behind. Feet together, behind. Together, behind. This is strong work. Try and swing the arms from the shoulders. So there's none of this going on, that's too much movement. Keep it focused on that standing leg. Keep your body really nice and still. So if you want to work harder, foot off the floor when you extend it, maybe. Or foot off the floor all the way. When I take my leg up behind me, I quite like to flex the foot. Just gives that extra sense of strength in that back leg. Here we go. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feet together and stand. Oh, that really hurt. Yeah, good. So hopefully you felt some good work there. Brilliant. Let's go to take the legs nice and wide. So let's just stay facing forwards. We're going to take some nice stretches on the legs now. So legs are wide, wider than your shoulders. Feet and insteps nice and parallel. We're hinging forwards from the hips. So this is a strong hamstring stretch. Stay as you are. I'm going to turn sideways just to show you. In fact, what I'd like you to do, sorry everyone, is bring your arms by your sides and really sort of pin them to your sides like that. Opening up the shoulders. And then when you pitch forwards, keep your arms glued to your side. So you're only going as far forwards as you need to get a stretch on the backs of your legs. You might be up here, that's absolutely fine. You might be parallel to the floor. You don't really need to be any lower than parallel to the floor. If you want to tweak it, take the weight forwards, tap the heels. From here, so if you need to, this is my second time around today with class, so my hamstrings are feeling okay. I'm finally getting over my injury, although I'm still quite aware of it, but stretching is feeling a little bit more normal, like stretching is supposed to feel. So you might want to go into it and out of it a couple of times, but if you can, find that biting point, hold it there, and then little finger side up, just take some little lifts. Not to the point where it makes your shoulder tip round forwards. Keep the shoulders open, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering. So just really to distract ourselves from the stress of the hamstring stretch. Brilliant. Let's let those arms hang. Let's bend the knees. Now let your head hang all the way down to the floor. So try not to lift your head up and have a look at the camera. Just hopefully I can explain exactly what you're doing. I'm closing my eyes to make sure that I'm telling you what you need to do. So my legs are bent. You're basically in that same position you've just bent your legs. Knees are going over your toes. It's quite compressive in the front of your hips. That's absolutely fine. I want you to walk your fingertips out and forwards in front of you, but don't put any weight in them whatsoever. Just lengthen your arms forwards. Let your head hang between your arms. Just nod your head a moment, make sure it's nice and relaxed. And your goal here is just lengthening the spine. So you're trying to lift the crown of the head forwards. Imagine I'm standing in front of you and I'm just asking you to lengthen the top of your head forwards more, but don't put any weight in those hands. And then send your tailbone in the opposite direction and breathe. Just lengthening the spine, again, exactly as we did before. And then walk the hands back so that they're level with your feet, underneath your shoulders, and if you can, straighten and bend your legs. So again, when you're straightening your legs, you're trying to stretch the backs of the legs. Your goal here, depending on your level of flexibility, doesn't matter if you're not touching the floor, but try and keep your hands where they are. So try not to lift your back up and down. Try and straighten the legs, and then when you bend the knees, you're just releasing that stretch. So great, I'm going to come back to facing square on. So if you can, keep those legs straight. We're now going to take seesaw hips. So legs are straight. If you haven't done this before, have a look at my hips. One hip ends up higher than the other hip. Legs are straight. I'm just dropping from side to side. I'm not shortening. This is me shortening in my waist. It's not that. It's not
I'm not creating a curve. My hips are staying on the same level, side by side, but one is ending up higher than the other. Soften the knees if you've had enough of that. Then let's take the upper body over to one leg. Hang on to the lower leg. Try and get your head towards that knee. You don't have to actually put your head on your knee at all, just try. Come into the middle, relax, soften your knees, straighten the legs, try the other side. Notice for yourself which is your tighter side. And breathe. Come back into the middle, soften your knees. This time walk your feet in. Heels first, toes in, heels first, toes. Feet to parallel position. And then we're taking a nice strong roll up, a strongly supported in your lower abdomen roll up to come up to stand, because we're going to come down to the floor next on all fours, and I'm just going to move monitors down a little bit. From all fours, hands underneath your shoulders, make sure you spread your fingers and your thumbs far apart. Let's take some spine circles. So let's start with a vertical circle. So you're going to take your ribs to one side, ribs up to the ceiling, ribs out to the other side, and let your ribs drop down towards the floor. So it's a bit like a tombola with your torso. So your arms and your legs are sort of the pillars. Change direction. So you're going all the way to the side, all the way up, all the way to the other side, all the way down. Side and round. Brilliant. And now let's take a horizontal circle, otherwise known as the industrial floor cleaner. So your spine is staying in neutral. The point of this is to stress the wrists. Draw a big circle. It's almost like an oval shape with your shoulders, with your head and shoulders around your hands. Go round to the outside, right past your little finger, go to the outside edge of your hand, come through to your fingertips, go across to the little finger side, across the heels of your palms. Good, same sort of thing. There's movement going on in the hips, there's movement going on in the knees and the shins. All good stuff. Okay, from here we're going to take some Garuda walks forwards and backwards, but for the moment let's just take this on the spot. So lifting the back up, and at the same time lift opposite hand and knee up, and then when you place them down, allow your rib cage to drop down. So think about lifting the upper back, the ribs, as you lift the arm and the leg. Try not to cheat and just bend the arm. I want you to really lift into the back line of your body and then let the ribs drop. So lots of lovely movement, freeing up that rib cage in your chest. So lifting and lowering. And then let's go back a little bit on your yoga mat. So always a good idea to have a yoga mat if you've got one. Let's do that same thing but walking forward. So you're going to lift opposite hand and knee or leg, place it down. I tend to lift and lower at the same time with this one. It's not a very big step, especially with my hands, and the knees are probably doing about the same amount. I'm pretty much, my heel of my palm is in line with my fingers on the other side. 4 or so forwards and then travel back. Same sort of thing. Getting everything moving. Great, there's another one here. So let's come back to the centre of your mat. So as we did just now with the spine circles, with the vertical spine circles, take your ribs out to the side and then take your ribs out to the other side. Feel like you're really stretching in the side seam of your top. So from above, you're almost creating a curve. And then you take your ribs all the way over to the side to the point where you can unweight the same side, hand and knee. You don't actually need to lift up. If you lift up, it's much harder to balance and it'll all be a bit whoa. Whereas if you just shift your rib cage over,
it's relatively easy. And then once you've got that movement, try travelling forwards. So imagine from above you're creating like a C curve, and then the same thing going backwards. Shift the rib cage over. Going backwards never quite as coordinated. So I'm not really lifting, I'm shifting. Just shifting that plumb line basically over to one side and then back to the other. Excuse me. Okay, great. Garuda walks on all fours. Okay, this is quite a strong exercise. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a little spray. Tickle. It's from the central heating being on. Okay, where were we? So we're going to, this is the hardest version of this, so a little bit of strength work. From all fours, straightening out one leg, straightening out the other leg into the plank. So you're in this really nice straight line. This is the hardest version. I'll show you an easier version in a moment. You're lifting your hips up into a downward dog. You're going to take the opposite hand to the outside edge of your ankle if you can, reaching across, place the hand back down and bring your body forwards into the plank again. Same side, 5 times. Lifting the hips, opposite hand reaches towards that ankle. Let me just do a couple on the other side just to remind you again. So from the plank, lift the hips, reach across, opposite hand. So you're only moving this one hand. You place it back next to your other hand. Okay, here's the easier version of that. So from all fours, you curl your toes under. You just lift your hips up anyway. Lift them up, you can keep the legs bent. Just taking that opposite hand somewhere to the outside of this leg. If you can, reach towards the ankle, but if you can only reach the knee, that's fine. Hands down. You can either come forwards and hover, which is harder, or place your knees down each time. Here we go. So we're going to do 5 on each side. So I'm going to go for the advanced version. In fact, I'll do a couple of the easier ones first. So easier one. So if you're going into the advanced version, out into the plank with nice straight legs. Otherwise, lift your knees up. I'm going to go the opposite side first. So reach across, touch the outside of that leg, put your hands down. I'm going to do the middle version, which is hovering the knees here. Lift the hips up, reach across. Look towards your leg. So strong work on the shoulders. I'm going to go for a couple of advanced ones to finish off this side. Hips are level when you lift up. I'm going to do one more for luck because I'm feeling strong. Brilliant. Come down onto your knees, back into square box position. Whew, reset, have a little flap about of the hands. Good, let's go on to the other side. So curling the toes under, straightening the legs into the plank for the advanced version. Lift the hips. Take the opposite hand to the outside edge of that ankle, that lower leg. Reaching across. So again, you're getting that lovely crossways position. Here's the easier version. Just lift the hips, reach across. Maybe hover the knees, maybe put the knees down completely. Lift the hips, keep the legs bent, and down. 2 more. I know I said 5, but I've done 6, I think. Lift and reach and back into the plank, and then lower both knees. Well done. Give yourselves a little bit of a twiddle with the hands and the wrists. Maybe come here. So again, lubricating, oiling the joints. We've got the blood flow there. Keep it going. Keep it lubricated. Twiddle those fingers and thumbs. Get your central nervous system all awake by being able to move your extremities. Talking of extremities, so we've just done a little bit with the hands there, not much. We're going to move on to the feet. So sitting up really nice and tall, because when we're walking, we want to be able to roll through the feet. We want the feet to be nice and malleable, but also strong. So sitting slightly back, lifting your chest. So for my proportions, I've got quite a long body. So for me to be able to sit back and not be slumped, I just come up onto my fingertips and lifting the chest, and then bend the knees slightly. If I go there, you can see. But I'm going to stay on a slight angle, I think. So legs are bent, but you're going to keep your heels where they are. As we straighten the legs and curl, leave your toes till last. So extend your ankle, then point your toes, and then bend and scrunch. Oh, it's really quite crampy. Straighten the legs, scrunch the toes and lift. So it's sort of a bit of a Mexican wave. It's a bit mean of me to start this way actually. So that scrunch is really quite nasty. So you're extending the ankles, straightening the legs. Toes are going over at the last moment. You keep your toes over and then you pull them back. Let's go the other way. So straighten the legs, leave your toes till last, extend the ankles, then toes and bend. Ankles, toes, toes, ankles and knees. Ankles, toes, ankles. Yes, I'm saying that all wrong, but I think you can see what I'm doing. Let's have one of each. And there. So you're sort of leading with the toes with this one. Finishing off with the toes when you're pointing your foot. Good. Okay, let's go the other way. So it's another version of the same thing. So this is a scrunchy version again. Scrunch over. Extend the ankles, lift the toes and bend. Scrunch, lift. So this might not be happening for you at the moment. Absolutely don't worry. If you can, fantastic. If not, don't worry. Okay, let's flex the feet, turn them out, straighten the legs and point the feet and bring them back to parallel. Flex and bend, turn out, straighten and parallel. Flex and bend, turn out, straighten and parallel. Reverse from pointed, turning out, flex and bend, come back to parallel. Straighten the legs, point the feet, turning out, flex and bend, back to parallel. So now we're rotating the whole leg in the hip socket. Ideally keeping those heels down. My calves are quite big, so when I really straighten my legs, that brings my heels up. That's my excuse anyway. So one more, last thing, grand finale here. 1 foot forwards, one foot pointed, 1 foot flexed. Swap it over, circle around, swap over. 1 points, 1 flexes, change it over, circling around. Point and flex, circle around. Oh, it rocks up your mat. Point and flex, circle around. Let's go for 2 more for luck. Point and flex, circle around. Circle around, don't overthink it and relax. Just let the legs roll in and out. Good job. Okay, we are coming onto our backs. For some bridge work, we're going to take a peeling bridge. And the other thing that I would like you to try and think about today, and this is Garuda work, is imagine that your spine, you've got your spine is a central line down the centre of your back. And then you've got the right hand side and the left hand side also of your back. So spine straight down through the centre, and then you've got another straight line that's completely parallel with the spine on the right hand side, so falling down from your right shoulder blade, if you like, down that side, and then one on the left hand side, falling down the left hand side. We're going to use those lines as we're coming down from our bridge. So lying on your back. So rolling all the way down. Just going to take my socks off, I think. Great, so let's just mobilise the spine first of all by going up in stages. So from a neutral position, feet and knees
parallel, hip width apart. Push the lower back in, take that pelvic tilt, push your heels down, send your knees away, open up the front of your hips and then roll back out to a neutral position. In fact, I might go a little bit more sideways so that you can see. So we're pushing the lower back in, we're lifting the hips off, so we're coming up to the lowest ribs and then you're rolling back down through the lower back out to neutral. Lower back, lowest ribs, up to the middle ribs. We've got one more stage to go. Send those knees away. Feel like you're opening out the front of your hips. Come back down, lowest ribs, lower back, roll out to neutral. Last stage, all the way up to the top. Lower back, lowest ribs, middle ribs, up to the top of your shoulder blades. So really pushing down through the feet, sending the knees away, opening up the front of the hips. Buttocks completely switched on. We're going to come back down in stages, but go back up again in between. So from this highest point, softening down to your middle ribs, coming back up to the top. So think of the pubic bone as staying high all the way through this. Middle ribs, lower ribs, back up to the top. Watch that you don't flare your ribs at any stage. Middle ribs, lower back. We haven't done the last stage though. Back up to the top, leading with that pubic bone all the way up. Last one, middle ribs, lower back, roll out to neutral, and then let's take one all the way up through the stages, up to the top, and then reverse peel all the way down. So now think about those two side lines, so the right side and the left side, and then the centre, which is your spine. And in fact, I might even go this way because I think it helps a little bit to see what's going on. Okay, so we're going to go straight up to the top of your shoulder bridge along the spine, so in the middle. So tuck that pelvis under, peel all the way up. Hold it up there, hips are as high as possible. Now come down through the left side. So your left hip will drop down through that left side, parallel to your spine. Your left hip will hit the floor. Your right hip was probably lifted. Rest your right hip down so you're back into the centre and come up through the middle. Now come down through the right side. So think shoulder blade. A line running parallel down the right hand side of your back. Right hip gets to the floor, bring your hips in the middle and then roll up through the centre. One more time each side. Left side. Roll down. Just keep breathing, keep flowing, come into the centre, both hips level, come back up through the middle, through the spine. Down the right side. Just think about the top of the spine, just think about that lovely straight line, hips in the middle. Last one all the way up to the top, and this one all the way back down again in the centre. Good job. Great. Okay, we've got some nice abdominals coming up. So we are going to stay on one side at a time. So we're looking at that lovely crisscross action that we need for our walking. So the hand that's furthest away from the screen, the monitor, put that to the back of your head. Have the hand that's closest to the monitor on the floor. So we're going to do this. We're going to do 3 different movements, 5 of each on this same side. So we're staying on this same side, and hopefully you'll be able to see me. This is all about your obliques. So feet and knees, pelvis in a neutral position. We're rolling over the shoulder, so reaching towards the monitor, reaching this elbow, top elbow up and across towards the where the ceiling and the wall meet, and then rolling back down again. Roll over this shoulder here. This arm is at a 45-degree angle. I'm just turning my palm up every time I roll over. Watch as you do this that the back hip doesn't join you, your legs don't join you. So we're just isolating. This is all about the obliques. You want to feel this nice twisting sensation around the waist, top of the hips. Hips and legs are staying still. I think that was number 6 actually. I'm not very good at counting 5s tonight. We're going to carry on this same side with that same movement. Now you're going to lift the opposite knee in. Have the foot quite high, so as in don't let it be dropped down there, but reaching across and lowering. Place it down each time. Try and maintain a neutral lower back. So supporting the head in the hand so you're not straining the neck. Roll over that shoulder. One more. I've absolutely lost count. And then we're going to add on, this is the grand finale of this particular move. The knee comes in, the opposite elbow goes across, and you slide the other leg away. And then you return to the start. So slide, leg slide, knee fold, and rotate. And lower. 3 more. Notice how when it's getting harder, I'm able to count exactly the correct amount. One more, last one. Woo, good job. Okay, so you can either stay where you are or you could twiddle round. I'm just going to twiddle around this side just so that I can see myself in the monitor. I can sort of see what's going on. So if you want to be able to see me as well, otherwise stay where you were and you'll be turning away from the camera this time. Hips nice and level, so we're just starting upper body only. Lift up, rotate, go roll over that shoulder. Don't let that back hip follow you though. Plant your feet into the floor. Get that twist in the waist, in your obliques. Lengthening that elbow across and up. Pull it. Imagine someone's taking hold of that and pulling it across. One more of these. I think I've done too many. Again, not a surprise there. Now we're adding the knee in. So it's very easy to bend this knee in too far. If you bend it in too far, if I actually touch my elbow to my knee, I've lost my neutral pelvis in my lower back. I want your pelvis to stay pretty much where it always is. So no lower back pushing into the floor. Hinge at the hip, but don't go too far with that, otherwise your lower back will collapse. I think that was the last one of those. We're adding on knee fold, leg slide and return. Everything returns at the same time. Everything here happens at the same time. And lower. 3 more. Suddenly I can count to 5. And 2. And last one. One more tough exercise. This really is quite tough. You're going to have your hands at the back of the head. Elbows are slightly forwards. Bend both knees in. Lift your head and shoulders up. We're taking crisscross. You're going to hold. Going to take the one opposite knee to elbow and extend the other leg out. Just do this with me. We're holding it for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're switching 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm getting faster. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Opposite elbow to knee. 1 and change. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Switch and change and switch and change. Grand finale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hand. Oh yeah. Woo. Just let those legs loll from side to side. Just unravel your abdominal wall a little bit. Maybe let the head drop from side to side. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. That was our abdominals. Great job. We're coming on to our tummy. Nearly there, we're nearly there. Yes, lying on your tummy. I'm going to come back this way. Whew. So let's have arms outstretched, legs outstretched. But basically arms, my hands are as wide as my yoga mat, and my legs, my ankles are as wide as my yoga mat. Tuck your chin in, have your forehead parallel to the floor. Lift your back of your head and neck up a little bit. Depending on how hard you want to work with this, you could lift your head and your shoulders so that you're on your bottom 3 or 4 ribs. Push your pubic bone into the mat. Stay connected at the front of your body. Pushing down slightly on opposite hand and leg, opposite arm and leg. Lift the other side, opposite arm and leg, and then lower and swap. Push down slightly in the floor before you lift. So ideally, for this movement, there's no rocking and rolling from side to side. There's none of that twisting that we just did. Your shoulder girdle and your hips are staying really level. Try and lift from the shoulder and the hips, so you're lifting a straight arm. Keep pushing that pubic bone into the mat. Have a little collapse, have a little rest, have a bit of a wiggle about. Reset yourself if you can. Last exercise before we come up to standing and walking again. So lifting back of head and neck slightly. Lift all 4 limbs off of the floor. Hold it there. But have your palms down. Now we're touching opposite hand and leg, hand and foot to the floor, and then swapping and swapping and swapping. The focus is all 4 limbs in the air now. And if you can, get a little bit faster. Touch, 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 switch, 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 until you start to paddle almost arms and legs. And again, there's going to be a little bit of movement in that torso, in that body. But imagine you're splashing a little puddle of water at your hands and your feet. Go as fast as you can, but trying to keep that body fairly still. And, whoo, and collapse. Well done. Fantastic. Come up onto all 4s again. Just take a bit of a circle around, whatever you instinctively would like to do. That last exercise was quite strong. Maybe let's take a tuck under with the pelvis, take the hips back towards the heels, stretch out that lower back. Have a little swoop coming through. Great job. Okay, curl the toes under. Lift your hips. Walk your hands back to your feet. Let your head hang, let your head nod. And then roll up through the spine, unraveling your spine all the way up. Great. I'm just going to put my mat back this way. So just standing up really nice and tall. Think about, and hopefully you've got time to join in with this. Let's come back to just standing, feet close together, close your eyes a moment. How do the feet feel? How does the weight feel through your feet? Lengthen your spine all the way up. Top of the head lifting up, tailbone sending down, arms nice and relaxed, collarbone open, chest lifted. Whew, take a couple of deep breaths. Brilliant. And then come back to having a walk around in your space. So when you're taking your wonderful walks out on the Jurassic Coast, if you're down in Bournemouth with me, or anywhere you are, walking is one of the best things you can do for exercise. But think about these 5 things I'd like you to think about. So the number 1 is your eyeline lifted. So definitely not head down. Absolutely not head down. Eyeline lifted. If you need to look where you're walking, then lower your eyes to look down, but don't actually lower your head. Lift your chest. Almost be proud. Feel like you've I've got a little card from my friend saying always wear your invisible crown.
So to wear your invisible crown, you need your eyeline lifted, you need your chest open. Feel like you're driving through your hips, pushing off of that back leg. That was all the work we did today with the running man.